Hey, Ty Brady here with Brady Insurance Marketing in the Ty Brady Way, one of the nation's largest field marketing organizations that helps independent agents achieve a 6- and 7-figure income with the systems and strategies that I'm going to talk about with you today. Welcome back to another episode of the Ty Brady Way. Today we have Reid with us today, Reid Smith.
Yeah.
So Reid, I appreciate you being on the show today, and you know, I wanted to talk a little bit about ancillary products and the need for ancillary sales. But before we do that, a little bit about your background. How long you been in the industry? What you do? And go ahead.
So started an insurance business with underage major medical insurance for about maybe 8 months to a year, 23, 24 years ago, roughly. And we sold insurance to small business owners, independent owners and so forth. And then about a year into that, I transitioned into the Medicare space. Before it was all Medicare Advantage, MedSups and so forth. But that first year taught me a lot about the value of an agent and the importance of not just the insurance, because we all sell the same thing, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
That this is a 100% relationship business. And so it taught me really quick that, you know, it's about being in a relationship with your client and with your company, but also with everyone you work with. It's just a big relationship business. And so for me, it was a good segue into the Medicare space.
Yeah. So you sold Medicare for a long time, still sell Medicare.
I do, yeah.
But now you're in charge of ancillary products, right?
So
and what does ancillary products entail?
Yeah, so my official role here is I'm an agent, still sell. Mm-hmm. But product development, mainly it's more like anything to do with products or knowledge, MedSup, MAs, but ancillaries. And so ancillaries would be anything that kind of fills a gap or a need with a product, right? So co-payments, deductibles, max out pockets, whatever your insurance may cost you to use in a thing. Life insurance is ancillary, dental is an ancillary, cancer, heart, stroke. These are policies that add value to what you're offering to your client. They fill a need that maybe the major medical isn't covering.
Yeah. So we talk about 4 out of 4 still need more because there's a gap in their insurance.
Everywhere.
And I'm going to share a little story about one of the very first policies I sold was a lady on a cancer plan.
Right.
She had a Medicare supplement, and the Medicare supplement at the time was an area where there wasn't Medicare Advantage. But I said, okay, I pitched her on hospital indemnity and cancer plan. And when I got done pitching her, she says, well, do I have to buy both? And I said, no. I said, you'll need to do one.
Right.
And I said, well, which one's more important to you? And I asked a question about cancer. And she says, well, you know what? Cancer's pretty prevalent in my history, and I want to go with that cancer plan. At the time, there was a cancer plan that was $50,000 lump sum.
Nice.
A cash benefit.
Nice.
To paid to her.
Right.
So I sold it to her in November. In January, she goes for a checkup and she was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Right.
And I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, she made one payment and then got past the 30-day look on the cancer plan.
Right.
And it paid out. And what she chose to do with it was interesting. So it was a bucket of money that was paid to her. She went to Pittsburgh and had an experimental procedure where they treated the cancer at the source. And they treated it at the source, and then she remodeled her house with the other money.
Right.
So, but they caught it quick. Right. She had that bucket of money that gave her flexibility. Now the MedSup wouldn't have paid it, or Medicare wouldn't have paid it because it was experimental.
Right. Plus, I mean, they're going to cover some of the doctor appointments and that kind of stuff in the follow-up. But yeah, she saw experimental treatments.
Yep.
Or just her daily life, airfare, travel expenses, drug co-pays, premiums, a HABR policy, all those things. And then she went on, it's just cash, it's tax-free money. She can do with the money what she wants to do with it, right? And then, like she said, put new carpet in her house, buy a barbecue, right? Go on vacation. I've had clients who, between the two of them, they had $60,000, got cancer, had a heart attack, and had a stroke on MedSups as well. So he had a heart attack. No, he had cancer. Then he had a stroke. There's $40,000 there. One for $20,000 for the cancer, $20,000 for the stroke. And then she had cancer, so it's $60,000.
Yeah.
Now I've insured this family for 20 plus years. I know their kids.
Yeah.
I'm actually talking to some of their kids now about Medicare, right? And when she got the last payment of $20,000, she goes, Reid, please don't tell my kids where I got this money at.
Wow.
I go, well, why is that?
Yeah.
And she goes, I don't want them to come ask for money about other things. But she put a roof on her house. She put new carpet in her house. She went on a cruise. She paid her premiums. She has enough money to cover all her premiums, her deductibles, her co-insurances until she dies.
Yeah.
And all she does is sit back and enjoy the retirement life because her medical needs are covered.
The basis of insurance is to offset risk.
Right.
100%. And it's so here, as I tell people, do you have a plan? Because no plan is not a plan at all, right?
Right.
So do you have a plan? Okay. Oh, well, I got money in the bank. Okay. Well, do you want to liquidate all of that money in your bank, or do you want to have an insurance company take a little bit of that risk? And these policies are $40, $60 a month.
Yeah.
They're very inexpensive.
Right.
Especially for the benefit you get on the back end.
Well, yeah, there's no loss. And like the biggest concern that people have with their health care is whenever someone gets sick or get hurt, they always ask, am I covered and how much do I owe? Right.
Yep.
So as agents with Medicare, our job is to cover the cost of what everyone has, and that's original Medicare.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you do that with MedSups or Medicare Advantage plans. Both are good options. But the ancillaries add that value to where we're covering those things that insurance policies maybe just can't cover in general, right? Second thing they do is everyone's worried about their cost of their coverage going up in price, whether it's copays going up, deductibles raising up, network changes, or premiums, right? Nice thing about the ancillary products is, traditionally speaking, in the marketplace, once you buy at whatever age you're in, you're locked in.
Yeah.
So I've had clients who have had these policies for 20, 30, not 30, but 20, 25 years and have never had a rate increase. Mm-hmm. And so when they see that you took care of that need and never had an increase in their bucket, their premium, man, that's a relationship, right? You now have a client or a friend, not just a sell. So
you like cancer plans, hospital indemnity plans, mm-hmm. Those are typically money, meaning a bucket of money if it's a cancer plan,
right?
Or it's if you're hospitalized, you're going to get X amount of dollars for being hospitalized. I get agents ask me all the time, well, how do you sell it? I'm like, well, as you're going through like a Medicare Advantage booklet, you're like, hey, listen, you're at risk. You're at risk for $340 a day, days 1 through 5. Do you have the money in the bank to cover that? Right. It's a simple question. Then I go on to the next one. Do you have, again, no plan is a fail-to plan. You got to have a plan. And do you have money in the bank, or you want to offset the risk? Or do you want to make a payment plan with the hospital because you got a $3,000 bill you weren't expecting? Right. And if you're going to make a payment plan, you might as well get to an insurance policy.
Well, that's just it, right? So the discussion has to be about the risk.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we're in. So the problem, you've seen this, Ty, the problem is today, a lot of agents are afraid of talking about negatives.
Yeah.
Right? Well, the negatives are the co-payments and the deductibles of all MA policies. As good as they are, there's a built-in need.
Yeah.
And even the scope of appointment that we all have to get signed on Medicare Advantage policies even explain that you should have a Medicare, a hospital indemnity plan, right?
Yeah,
and the agreement says that. You're right. Just go through and show the outline of coverage, the highlights, and just say, look, this is a big co-payment. It's just hard for you to pay. Or my clients don't pay this because before I leave here today, we'll give you a hospital indemnity program that'll help cover that cost, right? Just assume that they need it, and let them decide on what their budget will allow them, right?
Didn't one of the product guys say 7 out of 10? If you print 7 out of 10 will buy if you present it.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it was such a big number. So you want to increase your bottom line. I mean, Ron used to talk about it all the time. He's like, I know agents that make their house payments on the ancillary products they've sold over the years.
Right. Oh, well,
it adds up.
Well, my wife has payments that we pay. That's a GTL check.
Yeah.
That's a medical check. That's a Aetna Senior Products check. So you're right. And the thing is like we all want to be in this business year round. It's not just a AEP business. You know that. So when we're in a home doing a presentation and they have Medicare, they have Medicare Advantage products, we know that they have a built-in gap.
Yeah.
So let's say you're sitting in a home and they already have the best Medicare Advantage plan for them. Well, what do? Do you walk out? Do you leave?
A lot of people do.
Well, that's the norm, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, you and I know it's the norm.
Yes.
But when you said 404 need more, when you ask them for their Medicare ID card and their insurance card, and you go, is that it? Where's your hospital program? Where's your cancer program? Every lead you have is opportunity just to tell your story.
Yes.
Right? Tell your story and basically just do an education of what their risk is. And so you can sell Medicare Medicare Advantage plans, but hospital indemnity plans and cancer policies year round. So you don't need to change your policy. But here's a nice thing, Ty, once they're your policy and you cover that need, their agent didn't do it.
Yeah.
When they have a question about the Medicare Advantage policy down the road, who are they going to call? The client, the agent who took care of their need, right? And now they're your client. So you got year-round opportunity to market to them. There's no loss in offering ancillary products.
Well, the other thing that is on the other side of it with ancillary products, I've had 2 instances where I've presented and they turned me down for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, someone calls me up and says, hey, that cancer plan you talked to me about? Can I get that? I'm like, what happened? I was just diagnosed with cancer. Yeah. Or they're like, that hospital indemnity plan that you said, you told me about? Because I presented it every time. I mean, It's not going to hurt me. No. And I know that 7 out of 10 will buy. Right. So that's a pretty good ratio. And if they tell me no, that's on them. But and then I've had people that have called me and I said, they're like, do I have to pay this copay? And I'm like, no, remember that policy we put on there in place? They're like, oh, I forgot about it.
Right.
And I'd much rather have those phone calls than the other ones where they're like, they calling me asking for it. Every single time they call and ask me for it, something has happened.
Right. Well, they've had their time of need.
Yes.
Ron always said, what's their time of need? When's it going to happen? It will happen to them. And that's a good position to be in as an agent. And you say, oh, well, remember that policy you have. Let's do this and do that. Plus, we all want to be different in this business. We want to stand out. We want to shine. And so we have products, like GTL has one, precision care, but where it's unique, where you actually help people, but beat the cancer through precision medicine. Offering the ancillaries, the cancer, heart, stroke policies, the hospital indemnity plans, what that does, it separates you out from everyone else they may be hearing from, right? The TV commercials and all that. There's no, like you said, no downside to offering it. And when you offer up to every person you talk to, what's the worst they're going to say? Yes.
Yeah. That's the best thing they're going to say is yes. The worst thing's no, right?
Right. Well, yeah. But no, but even then, you offer it to them. Your conscience is clear.
Yes.
And then when they do call you back, which they usually do when they have a time need, now you try to help them then with what they can get. Right. Yeah. So no downside to it at all.
There is no downside. Now I've had new agents say, well, how do you sell it? I'm like, I'm not selling it. I educate them. I tell them what's available. I tell them here's how they can offset their risk. And I say, listen, if you don't have the stories, use the stories we've showed in presentations. Use the videos that are provided by a lot of the carriers. They tell the story.
Well,
about someone falling and breaking a hip and all those things.
Right. And they're all real stories, right?
Yeah.
It's hard today to have anyone out there not know someone in their neighborhood, their life, their family, who hasn't had cancer or heart attack. Today, if you are out there, I want to be your friend because I want your luck, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is just tell the story. And you're right. You don't sell anything in this business. It's all about education. And so if you go in there and just educate the reason you're offering this policy is to cover a real need, a real solution, and get them talking about their experience with cancer, their experience with heart attack, stroke. And if you don't have one, like you said, borrow someone else's until you do have your own story.
Because you'll get them. If you're going to get it. If you're in this business a long time. I just told you one story about a lady. I've got many other ones where a lady falls and breaks her hip or my guy that had knee surgery or whatever. And I could go on, right?
Well, I like with you, I had a guy who wanted a Medicare Advantage policy. I sit down with him. I'm educating him about the different choices he has. And this is several years ago when MAs were still fairly new. So they had some teething issues and networks and so forth. And he was looking between a med sup and an MA. And halfway into it, he goes, well, I just want that. So I offered the hospital plan, the cancer policy. Now, the whole time I'm there, he's talking about, I worked in the mines, coal mines. I smoked since I was 14.
Wow.
He's now 67. I'm going, well, you need a cancer policy and a heart attack stroke policy. But he wouldn't take either one.
Yeah.
Right? So I got up, closed my book, started walking out the door. And his wife goes, what are you doing? I go, well, you need this to cover your risk. You're going to have cancer problem. You're worried. You're telling me you're worried about it. He'll sit back down. Now, what's that again? So I showed him again. He bought the cancer policy and a hospital plan. Like years before, maybe 6 months into, he calls me up and says, guess what? I got cancer.
Oh.
And so, I just stuck to my belief that I was doing something right.
Yes.
And he has since been probably my number one referral source because he saw that we took care of a need. I believed in what I was doing. It wasn't about the premium. was just telling a story.
Yes.
And now he has told his story over and over and over, and I'm part of that with him. And so it's a great way of just growing your business.
He's your champion.
He is, man.
You need a lot more like that.
No, he is.
A lot more.
But you have that.
Yeah.
And if you're doing this and telling the story and working with people, that would be any agent who does this. If you just get past the need of just zero premium dental and actually just fill the risk and the needs and educate.
Now, 2 questions.
Sure.
Where do you see this in the next 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
And then any last thoughts you'd like to leave with our audience? So 5 years and any last thoughts?
I actually think the way the market's going, I think with precision medicines and new ideas out there for treatments and medical stuff, I think the ancillary market is going to get stronger and bigger.
Yes.
Because healthcare costs is getting more expensive, right? And so there's a limit to how much deductibles, they have to start charging more deductibles and more co-insurances. So I just think the need for a good cancer policy and hospital plan is just getting stronger as we go. There's no doubt about it. And things are changing so fast with healthcare that traditional insurance is on a hard time keeping up with this. You're going to see more innovations, I think, on this side.
Yeah.
Plus taking care of will we want healthcare, at home and have family take care of us. We're already seeing some ancillary products right now offering real benefits to people's children to be their caregivers, cash benefits. So that's a big change. And the other question was my last thoughts.
Yeah, last thoughts.
Basically, Ty, I think insurance is a great business, but Medicare is just a brilliant place to be in. And because it's a win-win-win. We hear about those win-win scenarios, right? Yeah. If you go out there and just educate your client and just sit back for a minute and think about through your own eyes, what do you want covered? And how do you want your mom and dad and your loved ones and your life to be covered? If you take that mentality into your appointments, then you will always do the right thing and you will write more policies. And if you're there for an hour and you walk out with 2 or 3 policies, which normally will happen, it's just great, right? I mean, it's just awesome. So I think that's what it is. Just relax, educate people on what Medicare does, original Medicare. You got great solutions, and it's just an awesome place to be.
Back when I was on the road, I would take agents with me on the road. And I remember this to this day. First of all, I want to say ancillary products consist of hospital indemnity, cancer, heart attack, stroke, dental, vision, hearing, and final expense, and short-term care. Home health care, short-term care. Those are ancillary products that everybody needs, especially if they're on a Medicare Advantage plan. Now, back to the story about when I used to work in the field with agents, I came back with an agent one day, and back then we had to fax everything. And this agent had 27 policies laid out on the table. And these old veteran agents came in and they're like, "Did you sell all these?" And we're like, "Yeah." And then they're like, "Well, how did you do that?" And it was funny because the agent said this: "I just did what Ty showed me and presented it every single time." And that's the opportunity that's out there. You're going to increase your bottom line. You're going to better serve the consumer. They're going to be better protected. You can't lose, but people have to be willing to present it.
Ty, you hit on the head, right? You learn from people who are successful.
Yes.
You went out, you didn't reinvent the wheel.
No.
You went out there and just worked hard and did what they did, right? Mm-hmm. And anyone who's in this business has been around for a long time, especially with the ancillary sales or success and has all the referrals like you do. And it's just that, right? It's just telling the story, but doing it over and over and over and making it a habit. But just ask and do it, and you will write multiple policies like that every single time. Are
you going to probably butcher the first time you present it? Absolutely.
100%.
I got really good at reading upside down, right? It's like, wait a minute, hold on. They ask you a question like, well, let me see it through the brochure. Let me see what I can get answered here, right?
Well, also what cracks me up, Ty, is they're afraid of asking the health questions.
Yeah.
We're in the senior business. Everything we design is to help cover a senior's need, right?
Yeah.
So very few times, just ask the questions and don't. This is showing my age. I used to say, just don't Perry Mason it. Don't ask too many questions. And a new agent goes, "Who's Perry Mason?" I'm going, "Oh my word, I'm so old." But the reality is just ask the questions on the hospital plans and cancer plans the way it's worded.
Yeah.
Right. Just ask the way it's worded, and you'll be shocked at how many people qualify.
Yeah. Most
of them do. And but you're right. You'll butcher it. But man, once you get in the habit of turning in a Medicare Advantage policy with a hospital and cancer, heart, stroke, maybe an extra dental policy or some life later on. It's addictive.
Yes, it
right?
is.
I mean, it's the best drug there is because you get all hot and sweaty, you think, oh man, they're buying from me. This is great. But then you realize, oh wait, I just did my job.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. Yeah. There's it makes selling Medicare Advantage plans and Medicare a lot of fun.
Yes, it does.
So,
well, as always, share, like, and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Ty Brady Way. As always, share, like, and subscribe. Go to Instagram at ty.r.brady. And as always, love hearing from you. And let me know what you want to learn on the show or what you'd like me to bring up on the show. Thanks.
You can find the Ty Brady Way on Instagram as well as Facebook. To stay connected with giveaways and Ty himself, go ahead and follow at ty.r.brady on Instagram as well as Facebook. This podcast was recorded, edited, and produced by Whitney Face Media Marketing. The theme music is an excerpt from Hot Chicken of the Woods by Isaac Joel.